grow rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing songs.
She's an actress.
Yeah, and I've been doing this, my whole life.
This didn't make any sense to her. How did a melody that she had locked down over the summer, last summer, suddenly appear on Jennifer Lopez's album? This was something that really bothered her.
Welcome back to StarHush, where we don't just spill the tea, we pour it straight up hot and messy. Today, we're unpacking a rumor that's got music fans shook. Is it possible that Beyoncé and Jennifer Lopez didn't just rise, they actually strategically took over what should have been Mariah Carey's spotlight? Yep, we're talking about the idea that both iconic acts didn't just bump up the charts, it's whispered they might have intentionally edged Mariah out to claim the throne she once held. Not by accident, not by coincidence, but by design. Some are saying they created a gap and then they vaulted right in, pushing Mariah's influence aside. Allegedly, this story is coming straight from Mariah Carey herself, as insiders claim. Now, imagine that Mariah, the queen of vocal runs, saying her legacy was stolen by artists once touted as her successors. That's some dramatic stuff, and we're gonna dive deep. We'll look at career timelines, release dates, and backstage whispers to see if there's more to this than just celebrity chatter. But first, grab your popcorn and get comfy, because today's tea includes songs, scandals, and Mariah's own alleged take on being set aside in a game she helped build.
Heard Beyonce drunk in love?
I don't know, I love Beyonce, but I have not.
Mariah just flew in from her own planet, I'm telling you. This is Mariah's.
My own planet?
Yes.
I did.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't.
Now let's set the record straight, because when you talk about the 90s music scene, Mariah Carey wasn't just part of the industry. She was the industry. She wasn't some record label puppet. She wrote her own lyrics, produced her own tracks, and made bold decisions about her image, style, and sound, all while battling an industry that rarely let women, especially multiracial women, take charge. And what did she do? She ate that era up and left no crumbs. While other artists were still finding their footing, Mariah was dropping back-to-back chart toppers, mixing pop, R&B, soul, even gospel. She didn't just break records, she rewrote the rulebook. And here's the kicker. Her influence wasn't just heard, it was felt by a whole generation of artists. She was glamorous but low-key, iconic yet unreachable, a full-on pop diva who never lost control of her narrative. And guess who was watching closely? Beyoncé, yup. Long before she was Queen-Bey, she was just a young singer from Houston, soaking up all that Mariah magic. And we're not just guessing, Beyoncé literally said it herself. She called Vision of Love the song that lit her fire. That was the track that made her believe she could be a singer too. And when someone like Bey says that, you better believe it's real. You can find old footage of Beyoncé in interviews looking straight up mesmerized whenever Mariah's name came up. She wasn't shy about it either. She said Mariah was the blueprint. Forget about whisper vocals. She was studying those high runs, those whistle notes, that effortless stage command. Beyoncé wasn't just inspired. She was taking notes like her life depended on it.
Mariah Carey's voice comes from God. You can hear the gospel in her voice. It's very nice to see her in the church. The whole message in the video was just Vision of Love was one of the first songs I heard when I was a kid, where I heard all of these riffs. And I was like, how does she do that? In this little short amount of time, the amount of notes she could squeeze in that one little bar, or 2 bars, was fascinating to me. And that's kind of when I started trying it. And it's something that I love to do in my music, but she completely inspired.
Something definitely shifted behind the scene, because out of nowhere, all that love Beyoncé used to show Mariah just disappeared. The shout-outs, gone. The admiration, silent. That wide-eyed fangirl energy Beyoncé once had, completely vanished. And now people are starting to wonder, did Beyoncé decide that she had outgrown Mariah Carey? Let's be real. Mariah's legacy is set in stone. Nobody's touching her vocal game, her songwriting pen, or the way she ruled the 90s like a true icon. But even with all that, she never quite got the critical flowers that someone like Michael Jackson or Prince received. The media box she's been stuck in is loud, glittery, high-heeled, and holiday-themed. Every year it's like clockwork. She's the Christmas diva, but the real artistry she gave the world gets pushed aside. Now look at Beyoncé. She's aiming for that upper-tier legacy, the type where her name sits beside MJ, Prince, and the true visionaries of pop and R&B. Not just a singer, not just a performer, but a full-on cultural architect. And if that's the level she's going for, then maybe, just maybe, she started seeing Mariah as someone who didn't quite fit that story. Someone she had to move past, not stand beside. And here's where things get even messier, because people in the know have been whispering that Beyoncé didn't just surpass Mariah. She may have helped push her down the ladder altogether, not by talent, not by artistry, but by using connections, industry power, and yes, by working those elite relationships that come with being married to Jay-Z. You know how this industry works. Talent alone doesn't take you to the top. It's about who you know, who you network with, who you can align with strategically. And if you're willing to play the game, well, the doors open wide. But if you're like Mariah, known for being headstrong, fiercely independent, and not afraid to challenge executives, those same doors can suddenly slam shut. Some insiders claim Mariah was being edged out at the same time Beyoncé was being lifted up. And not because she wasn't good enough, but because it served someone else's rise. And that kind of behind-the-scenes power play, it happens more often than people think. And now let's talk about the other name that always pops up in this conversation, Jennifer Lopez. Because when it comes to the whispers about who might have been part of Mariah Carey's career getting sidelined, J.Lo's name has been floating around for years. She showed up right when the pop landscape was shifting. Stunning looks, dancer background, fashion forward, all of that. But when it came to vocals, let's keep it a buck. She was not even in the same league as Mariah. Still, somehow, Jennifer Lopez was catapulted straight into global superstardom. She got the lead roles, the red carpet deals, the music placements, fragrances, fashion lines, and even that Super Bowl halftime show. It was like the whole industry suddenly decided J.Lo was gonna be the one. Even though folks were side-eyeing and asking, how did she get that fast track to the top? Now, let's rewind to one of the messiest music industry stories ever. Back when Mariah was deep in drama with her ex-husband and then Sony music exec Tommy Mottola, she was working on the Glitter soundtrack. Love it or hate it, Glitter was supposed to be a major moment for her. Mariah secured a very specific sample, the 1978 track Firecracker by Yellow Magic Orchestra, for her upcoming single Loverboy. That was going to be a big part of the sound of the era she was crafting. But then boom, out of nowhere, that exact same sample showed up on J.Lo's track I'm Real. And not just after Mariah's single dropped, before it even came out. Imagine how wild that felt. Mariah had done all the legwork, secured the sample, planned the release, only for that creative vision to get swiped out from under her. And who was the common link in all of this? Tommy Mottola, the same man who Mariah had been trying to escape, both from their marriage and her contract. But Tommy wasn't just gonna let Mariah walk away free. Oh no, he wanted control. And the whispers say he used J.Lo as the perfect industry pawn. Allegedly, Tommy took the Firecracker sample Mariah had locked down and handed it straight to J.Lo, then shelved Mariah's version. That wasn't just shady, that was straight up sabotage. He allegedly wanted to frustrate Mariah, hold her back from making a big comeback, and push J.Lo ahead in her place. And just like that, J.Lo got the release, the spotlight, and the hit record, while Mariah's moment was delayed and diluted. Now, nobody's saying J.Lo personally orchestrated the whole thing, but she definitely benefited from it. And here's where it really starts heating up. Because Jennifer Lopez didn't just benefit from the drama, she played her part and played it well. Mariah Carey was no fool, and she absolutely knew that her ex-husband Tommy Mottola was behind all that music maneuvering. In fact, she spelled it out clear as day in her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey. She said straight up, much of what went wrong with Glitter led back to Tommy. He was bitter, angry, and using his pull in the industry to block her at every turn. Mariah explained that after their divorce and her decision to leave Sony, Tommy wasn't just hurt, he was on a mission. He wasn't about to let her walk away clean and step into even more success. He had the connections, the power, and the ego, and according to her, he was going to use all of it to dim her shine. She said, there was no way he would allow me to have a huge success after leaving him and Sony. He was not going to let me or Glitter shine. And the shady part? Right after Tommy heard Mariah's unreleased track using that rare Firecracker sample, Sony rushed to create a new single for another female artist on their label. And that mystery artist just happened to be Jennifer Lopez. And yes, Mariah kept it classy but dropped the mic when she wrote, I Don't Know Her. That infamous I Don't Know Her moment didn't just come out of thin air. Let's throw it back to the early 2000s when Mariah was doing an interview and was asked about fellow artists. She had kind words for Beyoncé, saying she was nice and had talent as a writer. But when they asked about Jennifer Lopez, she simply said, "I don't know her." And that line right there, legendary, iconic, unforgettable. But Mariah didn't stop there. She made it crystal clear what she thought about the so-called competition. In a 2002 sit-down on Larry King Live, the host asked if there was any rivalry between her and Jennifer, and Mariah, never one to sugarcoat, delivered that cold line with a smile. There's no competition if the other person can't sing. That was pure vocal shade, and it echoed across the entire industry.
There are rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing songs.
She's an actress.
Yeah, and I've been doing this, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
And let's talk about that extra layer of shade Mariah threw when it came to the ongoing claims that Jennifer Lopez doesn't even sing all her own songs. Yes, that conversation has been floating around for years, and Mariah, she wasted no time speaking on it with that trademark sarcasm. In an interview with Talk Magazine, Mariah made it very clear she was putting in the work, barely sleeping, just 3 hours a night. Then she hit the punchline. When J.Lo claimed she gets 8 hours of beauty rest, Mariah clapped back with, "If I had the luxury of not having to sing my own songs, darling, I'd do that too, honey." Whew, that shade was sharp and polished, and the wildest part, Mariah wasn't just throwing accusations into the wind. Because the chatter about J.Lo using other people's vocals, it's not new. It's been part of the industry gossip forever. Let's take it back to 2001 when J.Lo released the hit I'm Real. On paper, it was supposed to be a smash from her second album, J.Lo, but behind the scenes, that track was originally being lined up for Ashanti. Ashanti herself has said she didn't even know what was happening. She thought the track was hers. Irv Gotti, who was running things at Murder Inc. at the time, admitted that he handed the song over to J.Lo. And yes, the vocals that made it onto the final version, that's still Ashanti you're hearing in the background. That's why the harmonies sound so much like her, because they literally are. And according to whispers from the inside, that handoff happened because J.Lo couldn't deliver the vocals strong enough on her own. So they just left Ashanti's voice in the mix. But wait, there's even more mess under that surface. Before Ashanti got her hands on I'm Real, the song was allegedly meant for Mariah Carey herself. Yep, that's right. And Irv Gotti even confirmed that Tommy Mottola, yes, Mariah's ex, personally told him to give the track to J.Lo just to get back at Mariah. This wasn't just business, this was personal. And they didn't stop at I'm Real either. Let's talk about Ain't It Funny, another one of J.Lo's hits that people still sing to this day. Guess who wrote it? Ashanti again. She wrote the lyrics, sang the full chorus, added her signature ad-libs. And when it was all ready to go, J.Lo just slid into the studio, laid down some lead vocals, and boom, her name's on the track. Ashanti basically did all the heavy lifting, and J.Lo walked away with the glory. That's why fans have been side-eyeing some of these hits for years. Because if you peel back the layers, you'll see that behind J.Lo's chart toppers is a trail of borrowed vocals and big favors from some very powerful names.
How did that J.Lo record actually happen? You wrote the song for yourself, or you wrote it for J.Lo?
I wrote it for J.Lo.
And guess what? That wasn't the only time a hit almost got swiped right from under Ashanti's nose. What's Love, the smash track that had everybody singing in the early 2000s, was nearly taken away too. And given to J.Lo. Yep, you heard that right. It was Fat Joe who spilled that tea, and he did not hold back. He said, Irv and Ja called me at like 3 in the morning and were like, "Yo, come down to the studio, we got a banger for you." So he gets there, it's 4 in the morning, and they play What's Love for him. Then they say, "This track, we want it to be you and J.Lo. We need that Latino heat on the charts." And just like that, they were ready to push Ashanti off the track after she had already recorded it. Wild, right? What's even messier? J.Lo reportedly knew the song was already tied to Ashanti, but she was totally fine with taking it. No hesitation, no questions asked. She just moved like it was hers. And this pattern? It's part of a bigger story about how Ashanti kept getting her voice, her writing, and her style passed off to other artists with bigger industry backing. Now fast forward a couple decades, and Ashanti's finally speaking up, and people are listening. During an interview with Metro UK, she talked about how painful it was to see her work go unrecognized for so long. She said, "You should always care about getting credit for what you do, no matter the industry. It's really important, especially today, because there's so much smoke and mirrors out here. And honestly, she's not wrong. Ashanti added that it took a long time for people to finally start connecting the dots, to realize how much of her voice was actually hidden behind other artists' names. It's frustrating, she admitted. But now that the word is getting out, I'm grateful. So many people had no idea and were shocked when they found out. And can you blame her? Imagine being in your prime, delivering hit after hit, writing, singing, laying down ad-libs, and then someone else walks off with your shine while your name stays in the background. That had to hurt. Ashanti even revealed how emotional it was for her seeing artists like J.Lo use vocals she recorded without ever acknowledging the work she put in. She even said, "It's weird because of course you get frustrated when you're not given credit or properly labeled. But then somehow that turns into something you're admired for." And that right there sums up Ashanti's entire experience, turning disrespect into respect and silence into strength. But let's keep it real. This is just Ashanti. There's a whole lineup of artists, and especially black artists, who've had their work allegedly taken, repackaged, and polished up under J.Lo's name. And guess what? The same whispers have followed Beyoncé too. As much as we respect her empire, there's been talk for years that she's benefited from connections, strategy, and timing that didn't always play fair, especially when it came to other talented women in the game, Mariah Carey included. Now here's where things really start boiling. Word on the street is that Mariah might finally be ready to spill it all. And we're not talking subtle shade or cryptic tweets. No, sources close to her say she's been working on something major. Whether it's a second memoir, a tell-all documentary, or just biding her time for the perfect mic drop moment, she's planning to let the truth fly. And it could shake the entire industry. Could this be the moment we finally hear the real tea about what happened during that glitter-era sabotage? Was J.Lo knowingly used as a pawn in Tommy Mottola's feud with Mariah? Did Beyoncé truly pull away from Mariah once it didn't fit the polished narrative her brand needed to maintain? Or, and this is the big question, was the industry just done with Mariah? Maybe they decided she was too vocal, too independent, too raw, too much to control. And they shifted their loyalty to artists who played by the machine's rules. Whatever the case may be, if Mariah speaks, it's going to be explosive, and we'll finally get answers to decades of behind-the-scenes speculation that fans have been piecing together for years. So what do you think about all of this? Did the industry turn on Mariah? Were J.Lo and Beyoncé simply in the right place at the right time? Or were they part of something deeper? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear all of it. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. And I'll catch you in the next video, my stars and hushers. Stay tuned, because this saga, oh, it's far from over.